In this episode of John's Arcade, we're going to help Ben Heck, that is right, Ben Heck, build an assisted device for arcade games for one of my viewers. Then we're going to go to Atlanta to the Southern Fried Gameroom Expo, hook up with Ben and the viewer, and check out the device. And also, be sure to check out Ben's YouTube channel, that's right, Ben Heck on YouTube, because he is also releasing his version of this video. Because, guys, and you're going to see him make it too, he's going to make the device on his channel. Because, guys, this is the Ben Heck and John's Arcade mashup episode. All right, guys, let's get on with the show. Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today, guys, we're gonna be doing a very special and different John's Arcade. That is right, guys, and actually, this is gonna be like part one of maybe a 2 or 3 part Atlanta video series. Because you see, this past June, I went down to Atlanta to the Southern Fried Gameroom Expo. I went down there to speak and hang out, and it was an awesome freaking time. Anyway, when I was down there, I did some stuff with Ben Heck. Yes, Ben Heck. Now, I am a fan of Ben Heck. I truly am. I love his channel. Ben Heck is on YouTube. He does all kinds of like electrical engineering, kind of maker type stuff. He's an awesome guy and really a very smart dude. Anyway, why was I hanging out with him? Well, I'll tell you why. This all started back in March, okay? Because one of my viewers sent me an email, and I'm gonna read it right now, okay? This is the email that I read back in March, okay? And this email is from Erie High, okay? And he says, John, thank you so much for dedicating your time to educate us all on how to keep our arcade games alive. I have learned so much from you, and I'm addicted at this point. And he goes on. He says, I am an arm amputee, okay? And I'm looking for a bit of advice. I shudder at the thought of putting a flight stick on any of my games in place of a joystick, but I want to play the games in my collection. Having one arm, I cannot hit the buttons and work the joystick at the same time. Yeah, that would be really challenging, honestly. You know, to try to play a game with one arm, wow. Anyway, he goes on, do you have any alternatives for joystick button combos that would take the place of a Xenophobe or a Tron type flight stick, okay? And signed, of course, Erie High. Now, when I read this email on the air, my initial thought was, yes, of course, get some kind of a flight stick, which is a little kludgy, you know, but you can get like a Mad Planets or a Tron type joystick, but you'd have to retrofit it on every game, right? You know, like this joystick here has a button, a trigger, right? So that would enable you to play a game like Galaga or whatever. So anyway, I'm reading his email, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, I've been talking to Ben Heck, because Ben Heck and I were trying to find a project that we could do together. And as I'm reading this email, I realize this is the perfect Ben Heck project, because Ben does a lot of assisted devices. He does like one-handed Xbox controllers, one-handed PlayStation controllers. He even made a device that goes on a pinball machine that allows you to play it with one hand, okay? So he's done stuff like this. So here's what we're gonna do in this video, okay? We are gonna talk to Erie first, okay? And let's call Erie on Skype and talk to him more about what he's looking for and just kind of understand his needs, and then we'll go from there. So, all right, let's go to Skype. Let's go on the internet and make an internet video phone call and talk to Erie. All right, guys, let's go to Skype. Erie, are you there?
I am.
What's
Hello.
up? Oh, hey, so it's me, John. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Well, how are you?
Good. So, Erie, I got your email, and I read it on the show last week, and you had sent me an email because you lost your arm, right?
Correct.
And how did you lose your arm, Erie? If you don't mind me asking.
No, not at all. I'm very open about it. When I was 28 years old, I was in construction, and I got a scratch on my wrist when I was working on the job, and I got the flesh-eating bacteria as a result of that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with strep throat. It's just a different strand of the bacteria from strep throat. So, yeah, that's how it happened. And there's very, very limited. At the time that I had the condition, there was very limited medications for it. So it's very similar to gangrene, and one of their main
like medications or.
the main way that they treat it is cutting. So in order to save my life, they had to amputate my arm. So,
dude, that sucks, man. I'm really sorry that happened to you. I mean, that's crazy. You just got a scratch on your wrist, and then that's it. I mean,
that's it. Got infected, and that the bacteria took over, and my system started shutting down. I was in the hospital about 2 weeks, and that was the only thing they could do to save my life. And but it worked. That's exactly what they did. Was they saved my life?
Save your life. So, yeah, I had a friend that happened to a long time ago, and he lost his legs and part of his arm, and it's bad news, man. I know all about it.
Yes, it definitely is. And due to the atrophy of just staying static for a little over 2 weeks, I actually had to learn to walk again, and it was pretty traumatic at that young of an age, at 28. So,
wow. But you're okay now. You're healthy.
Absolutely.
And you're an arcade collector, right? You collect arcade games, right?
Sure.
So you collect arcade games, and you sent me a letter asking me if I knew of any way that you could play arcade games with one hand, because obviously most games are designed to use more than one hand, right? With a joystick and buttons. So you've had to adapt, right, to playing these games with one hand?
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you play like a game like with a joystick and a button?
It's pretty difficult, but I try to kind of squeeze the joystick between my pinky and my ring finger, and use the thumb and the index finger for the buttons. So
is that right? So you're stretching all over the place?
Pretty much, yeah.
So obviously that's not ideal. And you had sent me an email saying if I knew of any controllers or something that you could use and adapt to your games. And obviously, I'm sure you thought of it too. A joystick with a button on the top, right? Right.
And the issue with that I had with most of the joysticks that are out there is they're single buttons.
Yeah.
And most of the games that I have 2 buttons, like a punch and a kick. And so the single button, it is helpful, but it's not a complete solution. So
okay, I understand. So I thought about this some more, because on the episode I said, hey, wow, this is a great Ben Heck project. Because Ben Heck does a lot of assisted devices, right? He does like one-handed Xbox controllers. He did a one-handed pinball machine thing that you plug on. And so I've actually been talking to Ben Heck the last couple of weeks, and it was like perfect timing. I'm like, my God, this is the perfect project for Ben Heck. So I reached out to Ben, and he's willing to take this on. What do you think?
That'd be awesome. Huh? That sounds great, yeah.
So I'm going to tell Ben that we talked and let him know it's a green light. You're into it, right?
Absolutely.
And then Ben and I are going to be at the Southern Fried Gameroom Expo in June. It's like June 19th to the 21st. And if you can somehow get out there, maybe Ben can bring the device and you could test it out at the show on the games.
Sure, I can be there. That'd be great.
All right, that'd be awesome. So let me check with Ben and make sure everything's cool and he's on board. But I think he is, and then we'll plan on being in Atlanta around the 19th and 21st.
That sounds
June.
good.
All right, cool. So by the way, Erie, what's your favorite arcade game? Do you have one?
My favorite arcade game of all time would probably be Dragon Slayer, but
oh really? Do you have one?
I do not have one. I have Daphne with the discs and that, but I don't have a Dragon Slayer. That's on my bucket list. So
it's a good game.
Yeah.
So do you have a big collection?
I have about 15 games.
That's a great collection.
Yeah, my favorite game out of my collection is my SVC Chaos. We play that with my kids a lot.
Sweet. That's a fighting game, right?
Correct. And that one has 6 buttons, so that poses even more difficult.
Oh, yeah. How do you do that? You're just stretching, right?
Yeah, that's about it. My 5 and 6-year-old give me a run for my money, I tell you.
So, all right, cool. Well, Erie, nice meeting you, and I hope to see you in Atlanta, and I'll talk to Ben Heck, and we'll go from there.
All right, sounds great.
All right, Erie, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, guys, there you have it. That was Erie. Super nice guy, right? Okay. Well, Erie obviously needs some help, okay? He's having a hard time playing these games with one hand. You know what? We need to talk to Ben Heck. We need to help him because, well, honestly, I can't help him, but you know what? Ben can, right? So why don't we hop on Skype right now and let's talk to Ben Heck and tell him all about Erie and what he's looking for, and maybe Ben can help us. All right, guys, let's go to Skype and talk to Ben Heck. All right, let's just start then. All right, guys, we have Ben Heck here on the line. Hey, Ben.
How's it going, John of John's Arcade?
It is good, Ben of Ben Heck Show. And if you guys don't know Ben does the Ben Heck Show, which I am really a true fan of. I've seen every episode, Ben. I've seen them all. I'm a big fan.
There's like 100 million of them.
I've seen all of them. Quiz me.
I didn't even watch them.
You know,
I live them.
I used to watch them because I had a smart TV in my bedroom, and we had the Revision 3 app, and I would watch them on that.
Yeah, that's true. Smart TVs are really cool. I bought one recently as well.
Yeah.
If you don't have a smart TV and you don't think there's a point to it, get one and it will change your life.
It will. And now I watch it on the YouTube app on the smart TV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that Revision 3, well, it's kind of a long story.
I know. We don't have to go. So anyway, Ben is, of course, from the Ben Heck Show. And Ben, for people who don't know, tell us about your show.
Sure. The Ben Heck Show is sponsored by Element 14. Every week we create new hacks and builds, and basically people send us ideas like, hey, you should try to build this, or maybe if you built this, it could help someone that I know. So we just try to, build cool things online. So I take pride of doing like a YouTube show online where I'm not just sitting there playing video games and swearing about it. We actually are building cool things.
You are indeed.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys have never seen Ben Heck Show, go check it out. It's on YouTube. Just do a search for Ben Heck. The Ben Heck Show, right? Is it YouTube/Ben Heck Show?
I don't know exactly what the URL is, but it's the Ben Heck Show.
Yes.
I mean, you might come across my other channel, which is my own personal channel, where I very rarely upload crap about pinball machines that people don't care about.
Is that right? So you do a lot of game-centric stuff, too. A lot of console mods, handheld consoles, stuff like that.
In the past, I have. More recently, the most gaming stuff I do a lot of accessibility controllers, like single-handed Xbox controllers to help people that don't have full facilities and whatnot. And I also do latency testing monitors for game developers.
Okay.
So they can create games with as little lag as possible.
Gotcha. And on your channel, too, you like the handheld Saturn you're doing now, or Dreamcast?
Oh, this handheld Dreamcast. Yeah, it's here. Where is that thing? I can show it to you if you want to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
We put it on the shelf because once we're done with stuff, we never want to see it again.
You never want to see it again.
Yeah. This thing was a bugger to put together, a handheld Dreamcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's just so many things you have to consider with a disk system. And if I would have had more time, I probably would have tried to do some sort of SD card emulation. I know they have, you can emulate the CD-ROM drive with a SD card now or a compact flash, but
okay,
we didn't really have enough time to do all that. But it is complete, and it only weighs about 3 pounds, maybe.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I think in a former life I was one of those carnies who could always guess your age and weight.
Right.
I'm really good at that.
So anyway, Ben, the purpose of our call is this. So you and I were talking for a short while about trying to find a project to do together. Because a lot of my viewers have been telling me that I need to work with you, and I think they've been bugging you, whatever. And we were talking about maybe you making something for me. But then I got this email, this viewer mail, because I do viewer mail on my show. And it's from a viewer named Erie, okay? And Erie sends me this email, and he says, John, I am an arm amputee, and I'm looking for a bit of advice. He says, I shudder at the thought of putting a flight stick on any of my games in place of a joystick, but I want to play the games in my collection. Having one arm, I cannot hit the buttons and work the joystick at the same time. Do you have any alternatives for joystick button combos that would take the place of like a Xenophobe or Tron-style flight stick? So, well, when I read this email on my show, I immediately thought, well, you could just get like a joystick with a button on the top, and that's kind of permanent and kind of lame. And then I started thinking, my God, Ben's doing this kind of stuff all the time, because you made a one-handed pinball controller not that long ago.
Yeah, with the pinball, it was a guy who plays in tournaments, and he would drill additional buttons into his own games, but you can't do that on location or at your friend's house. So yeah, we made him a solution that kind of suction cupped onto an existing game and duplicated the buttons for him. So you're thinking we should do that, but for arcades?
I think so, Ben. What do you think? Is it possible? Some kind of a device that he can like put in his backpack and go to an arcade and just start playing?
Yeah, so when John talks about Xenophobe or Tron, those games had joysticks with buttons on them. Right. Kind of like, see, with a flight stick now. Xenophobe was really cool. I played the hell out of that one.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
Yeah. Anyway, so what we could probably do is make some sort of joystick add-on. So you clamp it onto the joystick, and then you have buttons. And then to activate the buttons themselves, we could have little button modules that could have, like little solenoid like this, maybe.
Okay.
And so the solenoid can go pew, 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 right? And do the buttons for you.
Like a pinball coil. Just
Yeah, I mean this isn't a pinball coil, but it's like that. Yeah,
Right.
It's miniature. Yeah, and that would give us a fast action. So you could take those modules and set them over the buttons, and they'd just be weighted heavy enough to set. That way, it's non-destructive. And then the joystick thing that bolts around that would connect to it, and then you need some sort of power supply, but that's not a big deal. But yeah, I think what we need is I look at the games behind you, like the Zookeeper and the Mario Brothers. Oh, you have a Mad Planets. Cool.
I do.
And anyway, the
Ben, you need some video games, by the way.
arcade machines?
Yes. You
know,
had that
to-
Neo
yeah.
Geo.
I used to have a Neo Geo, and I liked it because I had the cartridges. But oh god, I don't know. I'm more of a pinball guy.
That's all right. I'll forgive you.
You know the reason for it. You'll probably hate because it's like pure capitalism. It's like the amount of they're worth more money for the amount of space they take up in a home or office.
Right.
It's a terrible reason, but that's my reason. Anyway, so what we could do is we could make a joystick add-on that has the buttons that you want, and then it would be non-destructive. It could just use weights or clamps or suction cups. But yeah, you have those multiple games in the background. So what you could do to help is get some measurements of like the joysticks, the shafts, the buttons.
Okay.
So we have an average.
Sure. Yeah, I've got about 40 games I can measure.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And we can find, by looking at that, we can find the similarities between them and figure out what we could build that would kind of encompass as many different games as possible.
Okay.
Almost like universal game joystick condom.
That's a good name. We'll sell millions.
Yeah, what would that be? UJC?
Right. Get the URL now before the show comes out.
Yeah, I'm sure UJC.com is totally available.
Right, but Universal Game Condom might be.
Yeah. We condom was a thing, right? That rubber thing.
Right.
Yeah, so if you create a spreadsheet of all the different joystick sizes,
Sure.
I think design something that would fit. And we're supposed to be getting a Formlabs 3D printer to borrow, which is a high-resolution
nice.
SLA resin-based printer. So we could use that to prototype a really nice quality joystick and buttons.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Ben,
Yeah.
do you want me to measure like the diameter of every ball and the shaft length and all that stuff?
Yeah. So, like the diameter of the ball, the length of the shaft between the cabinet and the ball.
Yep.
The diameter of the shaft, and then I know some of them have balls and some of them have kind of like almost like a stalk.
Like a bat.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, maybe like list how many have stalks, how many have balls, so we can like look at the probability and statistic of what is the most useful.
Right.
And I mean, a ball is going to be wider than the stalk, so maybe we'd assume that there's always going to be a ball. And like just looking at your Zookeeper behind you, I would estimate the height is about probably 0.5 inches from the base to the.
Yeah, that's really short compared to most games.
Right. So maybe what we build actually clamps around the ball rather than the shaft to give you a little bit more height.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like looking around here, here's a Nintendo red tent. You know, it's probably about an inch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Frogger is probably about 3 inches over there.
Okay.
Frogger's
Yeah,
good
I would bet
2.5.
the shafts are all the same diameter. I'm going to guess they're 3/8 of an inch.
They vary.
Okay.
Yeah, the shafts definitely vary. Some
All right, well,
some of them are
the
real
more
thin,
numbers
some are not.
The more numbers you can get me, the better.
I'll get you all that stuff. And then do we have to be concerned about the buttons? Because, I mean, for the most part, all buttons are very, very similar, but do I need to take measurements on all the buttons, you think?
I mean, I have buttons like that laying around. I would say just see, I mean, some of the buttons are concave and some of them are convex, right? Though most of them are convex. This is for the audience. That's when it goes in.
Well, actually, the ones from the 80s are mostly concave.
Okay.
And then, like, the later ones, like on Street Fighter, were more rounded, like on Neo Geo and stuff, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, the difference from concave to convex could be of 1/4 of an inch, and that could affect the lag of the solenoid. So that's something to think about.
Right.
Yeah, I would say the joysticks are probably going to be a bigger issue. The buttons themselves I can test here.
Okay, good. And then does the spacing between the buttons matter for whatever you create?
No, because I picture it being almost like little cups, you know?
Okay.
That you set down over each button. So what do you think? Do you think 2 would be sufficient for a game?
I think 2 will get you pretty far with most games, yeah.
Okay, that'll be a good place to start. So there'll be 2 buttons here with the fingers that will activate the 2 cups. So yeah, you just set the cups over the buttons, and I'll measure the buttons so they have they have a good kind of like weight fit.
Right.
And hopefully we have to think about the force of the button being pushed. We don't want it to push up the cup.
Right, exactly.
I'll probably just artificially weight them if I have to.
Okay.
But yeah, the joysticks are going to be the most important thing. I guess the only thing to think about is if you have like an asteroid game where you have like, well, you said even on asteroids, like the really weird triangular dome buttons are more like start.
The cone buttons, they call them, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are typically used for the start buttons, though, for the one player and two. But like Missile Command had those as the actual gameplay buttons, those cone buttons.
Well, if you can give me the measurements of those, that would be helpful. Though it seems like they're in the minority of buttons.
And that's like a 1/4-inch target too. The button itself is real small.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure the shaft, whatever it is not going to be that huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that it's padded so it doesn't scuff the buttons. I don't know if arcade people care if their buttons get scuffed.
Maybe. Probably. I don't know. They're pretty durable.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, this is. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And then you're going to be at the Southern Fried Game Expo?
That's what I was going to tell you. So I told Erie about this, the person that you're making the device for, and he wants to fly to Atlanta and meet both of us at the Southern Fried Gameroom Expo, because you and I are both speaking there, and it's June 19th to the 21st in Atlanta, correct? Is that the dates? Yes.
That sounds right.
Yes. So Erie is going to come there, and I thought it'd be awesome if you have the time to bring the device, if it's ready, and Erie can try it out on their arcade games.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a great way to conclude this episode, and there'll be plenty of games to try. I mean, more than I have here. Because,
right.
As you've said, I'm anti-arcade game.
And I don't know why, Ben. I don't get it.
I told you, it's a space. Well, think about it. The space where you can put 2 arcade machines, that takes up like what? Let's say
12 square feet or something.
12 square feet.
Right.
So unless you've got some really like, yeah, it's like you plug any pinball machine into there, and it's like, okay, that space is taken up by $2,000 worth of pinball machine.
Yes.
But then the arcades, it's like, I know. I'm sorry.
No, come on. Say it. What is it? It's $50 or something.
Oh yeah. I mean, the prices have really depressed lately.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if at some point, if they become so invaluable that they become valuable again because no one will have them.
Right. Actually, I think prices are actually going up. But what's happening? The classic
stuff, like if you have your Pac-Man, your Donkey
That
Kong,
stuff's all going up. Yeah. It's the kind of common garbage that nobody wants. That's kind of just going, like the JAMA stuff that was converted.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff's not very valuable. But the classics, the games that everybody knows, those are definitely going up. Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, cool. Yeah, for sure.
All right. But I'm totally against the emulated multi-arcades because that's all fake.
Yes, I agree.
Gotta be real.
I agree with you there. All my stuff's real down here, pretty much. Yeah, actually, it is. It's all original hard. I even have a Dragon's Lair running an original Laserdisc player.
The original 1979 Laserdisc that was used for car showrooms.
Yes.
If anyone's looked inside that, like Laserdisc actually slightly predates CD, if that's even conceivable. And yeah, it's a 1979. It's a Pioneer, right?
The player I have is a Pioneer, yeah.
And it's like all yellow and crap. It looks.
The player itself it's black. It's it's an industrial Laserdisc player they put in there.
Yeah, it's very old though. I mean, the Dragon's Lair came out in '83, so the Laserdisc is like 4 years older than that because they only used something that they knew worked.
Right, and rarely did it. Those games are always broken when you find them, and they're
hard. If I had like a giant mansion, I would probably maybe get the X-Men 6-player with the mirror, the widescreen.
My friend has one of those. Yeah,
that's pretty nuts. I only ever saw one in person.
We pulled one out of a warehouse. We paid $50 for it. And the control panel, you can sleep inside of it, and it's just hollow. The control panel.
You can't even get a hotel room for $50. It's a bargain.
And it's such a cool effect because they have 2 monitors. One is low, one is high, and then a half-silvered mirror that kind of projects them over each other.
To connect them into one widescreen image.
Exactly. But one monitor's down here, one's up here, and then it's a really cool effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally cool effect.
So yeah, get me those measurements of joysticks and buttons, and then I'll design something, and we'll meet at the Southern Fried Game Expo.
Ben, that sounds like an awesome plan. I'll see you in June.
Nice.
All right. All right, guys, there you have it. That was Ben Heck. And by the way, cool guy. I love Ben. So anyway, all right, Ben gave us a job, guys, right? We need to go around the arcade and measure all of the joysticks and all of the buttons so Ben can create a device that will universally fit as many games as possible, okay? And here's what we're gonna do, all right? We're gonna measure the diameter of every joystick. Every single one down here, we're gonna make a spreadsheet for Ben. And I'm gonna use a micrometer to do this, okay? And this is a cheapo micrometer. I bought it at Aldi. I love Aldi. And I actually use this thing quite a bit. It's actually very handy in the basement and in the garage to measure things. You know, you could put it on an arcade game to measure the thickness of the cabinet when you're ordering T-molding. It's just a handy little tool. So Ben wants us to go around and measure all of the joysticks and the buttons, okay? And he asked me to measure the diameter of all the balls, okay? And we're gonna measure this in actually millimeters, okay? I'm gonna use metric and we're gonna zero it out, okay? So let's measure this ball. And then after we get all these measurements, we're gonna write all of this down or type it all into a spreadsheet. So Zookeeper, okay, has a 31 millimeter diameter ball, okay? Now, Ben also needs to know the height, okay, to make his device, because he's making a device that's going to go over a joystick, so we got to make sure that it's deep enough to accept the entire joystick. Now, Zookeeper has a very short joystick, okay? It's very, very close to the control panel, but we want to measure the height here, and I'm going to use my micrometer and actually just kind of go like this, and that little thing pokes out there, and that's another way to measure instead of using the jaws. So I'm going to go ahead and extend this till this is at the top of the ball, okay, like so. It's gonna be a little tricky here because we have to measure from the crown, but it's roughly 37 millimeters, okay? So that joystick is 37 millimeters tall from the base of the control panel, okay? Now, Ben also wants us to measure the buttons, okay? So why don't we go ahead and measure the diameter of the button? So his device will go over the button, and the button is 33 millimeters diameter, okay? And then we also want to measure the height of the button, okay? Because his device is gonna, push on the button, right? So I'm gonna come down here and let's just go ahead and see how tall the button is. And it's about 11.28 millimeters, okay? And I'm just writing it on a piece of paper for now. And then I'm gonna go into Google Docs and we're gonna make a spreadsheet for Ben, okay? So that's Zookeeper, okay? And let's just do a quick comparison with Frogger here, okay? So Frogger, you can see right away that joystick is way taller than Zookeeper, right? So Ben's gonna have to make a device that can accommodate a joystick that is this tall, and also one that is that tall, okay? So let's go ahead and measure the ball diameter of this, okay? Now the ball is also 31 millimeters, okay? Now the height, right? Now actually, Frogger is actually a bad example here because you can play Frogger with one hand, but still, this is a common joystick. This is a Wiko joystick used in a lot of games. This is still good data, okay? Now, the height of this to the crown is about 60, let me extend this, it's about 65 millimeters, looks like, yep. So let's write down 65 millimeters. Now that's considerably taller than the Zookeeper. The Zookeeper was 37 millimeters tall, okay? And let's just measure one more together, okay? Because here's another extreme example. Robotron has some fat balls, man. Zookeeper and Frogger had 31 millimeter diameter balls. Now Robotron, if we measure the diameter of these, okay, zero this out here. Now, the diameter of the Robotron balls is 38 millimeters. It's 7 millimeters larger, okay? And the height of these balls here is, well, about 56, almost the same as Frogger, about 56 millimeters. So, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna keep going around the arcade and I'm gonna measure every single frickin' joystick and button, okay? We're gonna measure the diameter of the ball, the height of the joystick, the diameter of the buttons, the height of the button, okay? And then really, there's a lot of extreme examples here. Now look at like Street Fighter. So Ben has to make a device that's gonna go over that joystick. Every game is a little bit different. The diameter here is, well, let me zero this out here. Okay, so the diameter of this at the top is about 32 millimeters, but the height of this is about 90 millimeters, okay? Big difference. So anyway, I'm gonna go around the arcade, I'm gonna measure all of this stuff, we're gonna make a spreadsheet, we're gonna share it with Ben, and then we'll go to the next steps. Okay guys, I went through the entire arcade and I measured every single frickin' game I own. I even measured the games in the garage and also upstairs. So let me show you what I did here. I compiled a spreadsheet for Ben and we're gonna share this with Ben, okay? And just so you can see what I did, okay, I listed every game and I listed all the measurements, okay? So Pac-Man Cabaret, main controls a joystick, number of gameplay buttons, actually number of directions for 0 gameplay buttons, a joystick type is a ball, joystick diameter 34.15 millimeters, the height from the top of the ball, the control panel 57 millimeters, if a ball, the distance between the bottom of the ball, I also took that measurement, we didn't do that together, I also measured from the bottom of the ball to the control panel, okay, and that kind of will give Ben an idea really what's going on with these joysticks, and then also the button height and all that stuff. Now, Pac-Man doesn't really have buttons. It just has start buttons, okay? And then here's another example, ice cold beer. That one, you don't need buttons. So Mario Brothers, that's a good example here. It's got a 2-direction joystick, okay? It has 1 gameplay button. It is a ball-type joystick, a 28 millimeter diameter. It's 41 millimeters from the control panel to the top of the button, of the ball. And then it's 15 millimeters from the bottom of the ball to the control panel. And then the buttons themselves, I measured the height of the Nintendo style buttons, almost 11 millimeters, and then the collar diameter was 33. Anyway, I took measurements of every single game I have, okay? Every button, even the Atari cone type buttons, okay? Like even these ones here, because some games have these Atari cone buttons, like Missile Command, okay? So this is all data that Ben's gonna need to make this device. See these cone buttons? Totally different. So like on Missile Command, it has 3 of these buttons. Now on Tempest, these buttons are not critical because they're not part of the gameplay. It's just to start the game. But like on Missile Command, you know, you've got these 3 buttons and they're a major part of the gameplay. And there was some old Atari black and white games and stuff. So anyway, we're gonna share this spreadsheet with Ben. And then Ben also asked me to take photos, okay, of all of the joysticks, okay? So I went around the arcade and I took photos of every single game, okay? Just so he could take that data and then match it up to the photos to kind of understand what the joysticks look like, and he can make a device with as much educated data as possible. So hopefully this will help him out, okay? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna send all of this data to Ben, okay? And then we're gonna see what happens, okay? We're getting close here to having to go to Atlanta. So I'm gonna send this to him and Ben's gonna get to work. So, all right guys, I'll be right back. All right, guys, it has been a few weeks here, okay? We sent Ben all of that data. We sent him the spreadsheet with all of the measurements. We sent him photographs of every single joystick down here so we can match it up with the measurements. And Ben has been working on the device and it is ready. And it's also now time for us to go to Atlanta. That is right, guys. We're gonna go to Atlanta and we're gonna hang out with Ben Heck and Erie. Yes, we're gonna meet Erie and we're gonna check out this device. This is kind of exciting, I have to say. All right, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get in the car, we're gonna hop on a plane, we're gonna go to the Southern Fried Gameroom Expo, we're gonna hook up with Ben Heck and Erie, and we're gonna check out this assisted device that Ben has made for Erie. All right, guys, let's hit the road.
Dream and dream, but speak from the heart. We
All right, guys, we're here in Atlanta. Yes, we're at the Southern Fried Gameroom Expo.
Is that where this is?
Yes, it is. And I'm here with Ben.
We're no longer in the basement.
We are not in the basement. We are far from the basement. We're in Atlanta, but Erie is here.
I am.
Can you believe Erie's here? I mean, he was just a guy on Skype, and now he's here in person.
He's a real he's in 3 dimensions.
He is in 3 dimensions. So anyway, Ben made the device that we've been talking about, and it's finally here.
Yep.
It's here in this building.
That's right.
And we're gonna go in the arcade. Erie, are you excited?
I'm stoked.
Right? So we're gonna go in the arcade, and and by the way, this is not the arcade. We're in a hotel lobby, okay?
It's quieter in here.
It's much quieter. So we're gonna go in the noisy arcade and try this thing out. It's gonna be awesome. I know it is, Ben, because you made it.
It's gonna be a trial by fire.
It is. All right, guys, let's go to the arcade. All right, so we're in the arcade, Ben. Here we are. And here's the device. So Ben, tell me what you made, because so this little thing here goes on the joystick, right?
Yep.
And it's got 2 switches.
Spring loaded, so you pull it on and off. It fits a variety of joystick ball sizes.
Right.
2 snap action lever switches here that activate the buttons. The buttons push for you.
And what's in here is like a pinball coil, or?
It's not a pinball coil, but it's a solenoid, so it's like that.
Okay.
And this is a rubberized serrated base, so it sticks over the button like so.
Yep.
Like so. And then it'll push the buttons for you.
Right, and then so this game uses 2 buttons. So we have 2 devices, and you design them with like a kind of a half circle, so you can butt them up next to each other.
Yes, that's right. That way you can have as much weight around it as possible.
And then you were telling me earlier that you actually filled the bases with like little BBs, kind of, or
yeah, it's trap shooting birdshot lead.
trap shooting birdshot lead.
It's like 0.09.
In Wisconsin, they
diameter.
sell that at the gas station, right? You just-
It's the easiest place to get lead balls. Well, I was going to use tungsten balls, but I wasn't a millionaire.
So, Erie, do you want to try this?
Absolutely. I go for it.
And so, Ben, you made it so that it'll fit on the largest variety of joysticks, right?
Hopefully, yeah. That's why. Well, you gave me the information from your basement.
Right.
You measured all the joystick ball
Yeah.
diameters from 27 millimeters up to 38 millimeters.
Yeah.
So I actually 3D printed balls of that size.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I could make sure this would fit over it.
Oh.
Since I didn't have any arcades.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't know you did that. That's awesome.
I did. It wouldn't fit balls that size, though.
No. So right now, Erie is using one hand, and he's activating the buttons remotely with that little sleeve. Are we calling it a sleeve? What is it exactly?
We're going to call it the joystick con.
Yes.
But change that.
Right. Marketing didn't like that. So Erie, is it working or what?
It's working perfect. This is awesome.
I mean, you're totally playing this game, dude, with one hand. You just cleared the level. I mean, does it feel like natural?
It does. I like the little hammer back here.
Yeah. Yeah, I put my hand on it early. It's very ergonomic.
Yeah.
Ben drew a turkey. Is that what you did?
I drew my hand on a piece of paper, and then I put the ball near the bottom, so that way if the shaft was really short.
Yeah.
We'll see if the ball was up here and the shaft was too short, you wouldn't get much rotational action
Right.
out of it. Yeah.
Well, that is super cool. Well, Ben, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Erie, thank you very much.
Thank both of you.
Thank Ben. Ben did it.
This is really functional. This will be great. This is going to fit all my games, and
Awesome.
I am going to.
And it even includes the charger.
It does. That's right. It uses a cordless. And by the way, Erie's taking this home, right?
Yes.
Yep. I can't wait to hear how it works in your basement.
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
you have a basement?
Actually, my games are set up in a storage area.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. I will definitely be competition for my 5-year-old. So.
All right, guys. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Erie. Let's go back to the basement. There you have it. So what did you think, huh? Ben Heck hit it out of the park with that device. He really did, guys. That thing absolutely freaking worked. It worked like a charm. You know, I tried it quite a bit, and it was very, very responsive. There was like no delay. I used it on, I was playing Galga with it, because because Galaga, you know, that's a pretty button-hitting intensive game. And I was sitting there with that device over the Galaga joystick and just wailing on that micro switch, and my God, that thing was keeping up, and I was firing as if it was always meant to be played that way. Honestly, I swear to God, Ben really did a bang-up job. So Ben, I really want to thank you for helping us. I know that Erie definitely thanks you. I've actually talked to Erie since. He loves the device. He took it home with him. He's been using it. It was a massive success. So Ben, so awesome, so freaking awesome. And guys, you need to check out Ben's channel because Ben also did a video, right? It wasn't just me. Ben has an entire episode that's going to be up this Friday, July 24th, 2015. So if you're watching this after, it's already out. Okay, go to Ben Heck's channel and watch his video because you could see how he made the device. He devoted an entire episode to making the device, so be sure to go to his channel and subscribe. And trust me, guys, if you like my channel, you're gonna love Ben's channel. So anyway, thanks to Erie for coming to Atlanta. Awesome guy. Thanks to Ben for being part of this. I mean, this was like a dream video to me, guys. I mean, I am a fan of Ben, and how cool is it that we get to help somebody? So, you know, listen, I didn't really contribute much here. I measured some buttons and joysticks, and I connected them, and Ben did all the work, and I'm proud to be part of it. So, thank you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Erie. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it. So there's going to be more Atlanta videos. Actually, I got to tell you guys a story because I know I kind of told you guys I deleted the video, and it's true. I lost all of my Atlanta video. All of it, like I formatted, because my camera has an internal memory card and it has an SD card, okay? So I went to Atlanta and I came back with all the footage on my internal memory card. And then I did a couple videos afterwards, okay? And I went to, what I did was I was gonna save the videos after Atlanta on the SD card and leave the Atlanta video on the internal drive, right? Apparently, when I went to format the SD card, I selected the internal drive and I erased all of it. I lost every single video in Atlanta, and it was a massive, massive freaking bummer. I panicked, okay? So I tried for, I don't know, at least a week to get all the footage off the camera. Now, I didn't overwrite the data. All I did was I formatted it, okay? And I was trying to get it off with some software on the Mac. I had Dan Reed helping me, thank you, but none of it was working. So I decided, well, you know, the camera is FAT32. It's like a Windows partition format. So I thought maybe I should do it on a Windows computer, so I booted into XP on one of my iMacs. I purchased a software by Krollsoft, Kroll, just like the movie Soft. It's like Krollsoft Easy Recovery. It cost me $80, and I got all of the footage back, all of it. Obviously, you just watched some of it. So the good news is I recovered all my Atlanta video. Excuse me. So we will be revisiting Atlanta, and I know that there's going to be at least one more video because the main video is with Ben Heck and I. We did a complete walkthrough of the place, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, and I also did an interview in the car with famed pinball designer Dennis Nordman and also artist Greg Ferris. Now, Greg Ferris did the Revenge from Mars Backlash, right? So I actually shared a car with them from the airport, and I interviewed them in the car. So it's pretty cool. And I was really panicking because I thought I lost that footage because that was really like a cool situation, you know. Because they flew me out to Atlanta. And they sent a car for me, yeah, big time. And they tell me that I'm gonna be sharing the car with Dennis Nordman and Greg Ferris. I'm like, yes. so I took advantage of that and I did a little interview with them. So anyway, that's all gonna be coming up here in the next week or two. But I want to do like 2 really fast viewer mails, just really quick, and we'll get out of here. The first one is from Aaron. And by the way, if you want to participate in the viewer mail segment, you need to email them to me at blkdog7@gmail.com. blkdog7@gmail.com. That's blackdog7@gmail.com. In the subject line, please put viewer mail. All right, first one is from Aaron. Hi, John. First off, I love your show. I'm a lifelong console gamer, but I've recently started building custom joystick controllers for my Raspberry Pi arcade and my Mac. Your videos have turned me into an arcade nut, Anyways, I'm going to some retro gaming and Comic-Con type conventions this year, and I was wondering what conventions, if any, you are planning on attending for the rest of 2015. I am looking to get more involved in the arcade community and would love to hear you speak or get you to sign a copy of your CD for me. Okay, so I'm turning this light down a little bit, it's bothering me. Okay, I actually have one event scheduled for the rest of the year. And it is Grinkfest. That's right, guys. We are doing a tournament in October at Grinker's Grand Palace Arcade in Eagle, Idaho. The dates, I believe, are October 9th and 10th, 2015, okay? I'm going to be there. Sean, Fetish Boy Williams, Jow, my co-host from Arcade Outsiders. We're going to be going there and doing an arcade tournament, and it's going to be a hangout weekend, playing games, drinking beer, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Just trust me. This is our third tournament, okay? And it's growing every year. And really, if you guys want to go, you better book your stuff now, because the hotel, they actually filled up the block. Anyway, and they just added 10 more rooms, whatever. Anyway, go to arcadeoutsiders.com. arcadeoutsiders.com. Scroll down. I've got all the details, okay? Go there. Right now, all the hotel details are there. You want to stay at the Hilton Garden Inn. But if you can get yourself to Eagle, Idaho, which is just outside Boise, this is going to be the event of the year. Trust me, it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. There's also a convention in Connecticut, like the first weekend of October. I might go to that too. Like it's like October 3rd. It's called like Retro Con or something. I don't know. All right, next one here is from Steven. Hey, John, I'm about to start working on some machines I have that will need to be painted, and I'm a little intimidated by this. Which method do you recommend? Number 1, rolling. I'm against that, so that eliminates that. Number 2, spraying. Rattle cans or HVLP. Number 3, vinyl or laminate, kind of pricey. As always, any help is appreciated. Keep up the great work. P.S. Will there be another Kill Screens CD run? I can't find one anywhere, and I would like a physical copy. Signed, Steve. Okay, so actually, let's not rip this just yet. Okay, so he wants to know what is the best way to paint. Okay, now I've done a little bit of everything. Okay, I have not done HVLP. Okay, just because I don't have the equipment. Okay, now HVLP is it's like what they use for cars, right? It's like an air compressor system and all that stuff, and you put the paint in these little bottles and it sprays it on. It's spray paint, but a little more sophisticated, or a lot more sophisticated than using rattle cans. Okay, so I can't really give you much advice about the HVLP simply because I haven't done it. And the reason I haven't done it is because I haven't wanted to spend the money on the equipment. Okay, I don't really have a very big compressor, so I haven't really pursued that option. Now, let's talk about the methods that you list and kind of what I think about them, okay? The first one you said was rolling. Now, you dismissed that out of hand, and I don't agree with that. Because the journey right here, I rolled this cabinet, okay? And this is one of, if not my best restore to date. And all of this paint was put on with a roller, okay? And I even used latex-based paint because I could not find this color blue in oil-based, which I prefer, and I couldn't find anyone to mix it because it's illegal. A lot of states have outlawed oil-based paint or the ability to mix new colors. You can often go to Home Depot and get blacks in oil, like Rust-Oleum black, but blues and mixing new colors, not happening. Anyway, I went to Ace Hardware, I had them mix me up some blue, and I rolled this cabinet with a foam roller, okay? Now, and I documented all of this in the Journey Restore. Now, the one thing that I did do extra that really pushed this paint job to the next level was I sanded the living heck out of this cabinet, okay? Now, if you look here, this is just magnificent. It truly is. I mean, it is smooth, 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 and there's no orange peeling or anything. I sanded this paint like it was a car, and I wet sanded it with very high grit sandpaper. Like, I went up to 2,000 grit that I got at an automotive store. Now, the downfall to this is time, okay? It took me forever. Now, I don't really know how many hours exactly I put into this paint job, but I think it's somewhere north of 10 hours and south of 20. Somewhere between 10 and 20 hours is what I put into this cabinet and this blue paint. Because I put multiple coats, sanding between coats, and then spending a heck of a lot of time sanding that final coat. Was it worth it? In the end, yes. I love this game. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It turned out exactly the way I wanted it. And I did that all with the foam roller. Now, the inside black here, I did that with spray paint. Okay, I sprayed this with Rust-Oleum satin black spray paint, and it turned out freaking fabulous. Now, here's the other flip side. We just finished the jump bug, right? Now, all of this blue I spray painted with rattle cans. It turned out freaking awesome. Absolutely awesome. I look at this, it looks like it was painted at Mako. Okay, it looks like I paid an auto body shop to paint this, and this was all rattle can. So I think you can get really good results with the rattle can. Now the sides, I used laminate, okay? I used vertical grade Wilson Art laminate, right? And this looks like it's factory new. It really couldn't be any more perfect than this. But it was a little more expensive, you're right. It cost me $130 for the laminate. Just the laminate. However, the results are just off the charts. I mean, it's literally like a brand new game. The combination of the good spray paint that I put on it with the laminate, it's just like this game pops, okay? And of course, I covered all of this in the last video. Actually, the last Restore series, which was Jump Bug, which we just finished like this week. So which one do I recommend? Okay, you know what? If you're not comfortable, this is what I think, okay? I think you should start out with the easiest way of doing this, okay? I think the easiest way is rolling. I do. I think that is the most foolproof way of painting, okay? And it's not very expensive to do, okay? It's labor intensive, which is okay. And it's rewarding, but I think it's the easiest way to do it without screwing it up, okay? And if you're working with black colors, I recommend going to Home Depot and getting the oil-based Rust-Oleum satin paint. I use that all the time. I'm looking around down here because I painted, what did I paint black down here? I think it was the kick plate. No, it wasn't. I think the Major Havoc I did the black with Rust-Oleum. I did, didn't I? Yeah, I did. So like the kick plate on Major Havoc over here, did I do that? No, I did not do that. I'm trying to think I might have sold the last game I'd used the Rust-Oleum satin black on. Yeah, I did. I'm just looking around. Yeah, I don't have any games down here anymore that I used the Rust-Oleum satin black on. They've all left the building. I think the last one was the Gyrus. I painted that kick plate. So anyway, I don't know. Am I really answering your question? I don't think I am. So they all have pros and cons, man. I do think that the rollers and a light touch is the easiest. If you're not comfortable and this is your first job, I recommend that, because that's how I started out. I started out with the rollers, and I got some pretty good results, especially when using the oil-based Rust-Oleum paint. I thinned it with some acid. Did I use acetone or mineral spirits? I thinned it. I don't remember what I used. I think I used acetone or naphtha. I thinned it with naphtha. I thinned the Rust-Oleum satin black with naphtha so that when it dried, a lot of that liquid evaporated really easily. And I used a very light touch with the black with the roller, and I got some really great results. I did my punch out. It looked brand new when I was done. So I think the roller is the simplest and the easiest. It sounds like you're hell-bent against it. And then after that, the spray paint is actually very good, but it's hard to find the right colors, okay? You can't get the colors mixed. So I guess at the end of the day, it sounds like maybe you want the HVLP. If you want to spend the money on the compressor and all that equipment. But I don't know. I think all of those options that we talked about are viable, as long as you're kind of smart how you do it. And sanding seems to get you out of trouble, okay? I think that's the secret to the whole thing, is sanding. Because even with the jump bug, after I used the rattle can, because I had to use gloss paint because I couldn't find that blue in satin, I had some spots that were really uneven. I went over it with sandpaper and it looks like brand new. So I think sanding is the key, whichever direction you pick. So hopefully the information I just shared steers you in some direction. I don't know. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for this little midweek video. We'll be back very soon. We have a game, a surprise game showing up this week. Another game's gonna be in the garage, guys. So I've been trying to be tight-lipped about it. I haven't really told anybody, but it's gonna be, I shipped it. I shipped it from Colorado, okay? This was a deal that I started working on when I was in Colorado. Remember we went to visit the One Up and we hung out with John Exedy? Well, I bought a game from John, okay? And he shipped it to me, and we're gonna be talking about that, I think, in the next video. And I'm kind of excited, so. Anyway, that's it for this video. By the way, if you've never subscribed to my channel, now is the time. I release new videos on Sundays and sometimes in between like this one. So if you want to keep up with my videos, you got to hit subscribe. And then, of course, check out my podcasts. I have 2 of them, Video Game Outsiders at videogameoutsiders.com and Arcade Outsiders at arcadeoutsiders.com. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I'll see you next time. Later and bye.